Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. I hope you are doing well. I thought I'd make a quick video because I haven't made one of me in front of the camera. I know I've been out for so long, what, 4 to 6 weeks. My husband has been working on this room. This was kind of chaotic, it's our office. He's always so nice to me. So he wanted to make me a nice room where I could film, and we actually thought about, having a podcast together. Sometimes it's hard to talk in the camera by yourself. I like casual conversations. That's why if you notice, I probably ramble a lot on my videos. I just like to have that feeling of talking to someone. And so I told my husband, well, he also mentioned this. He's like, "What do you think about doing it together?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's really good idea because I don't have to like pretend like I'm talking to someone. I'm actually talking to you." And we love like having conversations. We'd literally spend hours just talking about stuff, crap sometimes, politics and all kinds of stuff going on. I mean, there's so much to talk about anyways. So yes, we're gonna try and do that. I think he's like trying to get himself ready. He's not the most like outgoing person out there, so it's probably gonna be awkward, but we're gonna try our best. That's the plan. So we have renovated this room. Well, not I'm like doing a floral form, but I was just there like, yeah, you're doing a great job. I'm not really doing anything other than, yes, you're doing a great job. He's doing the work. I'm just there kind of like appreciating, whatever he's done. Appreciating. Although he thinks you're kind of critical. I'm like, yeah, well, that thing is kind of crooked. That's my participation, contribution. But he's done a great job. So this is supposed to be our filming office podcast room, but I don't know. It's starting to look like the man cave, if you notice. So you probably already know. Well, if you have been with me in this channel for a while, that we love the Braves. So as you can see, the wall is full of the logo, and of course, the shelving was here before, but we've added a lot of stuff. I'm gonna reveal this room once he finished everything because it's almost done. And yes, he's done a great job. I love the Braves too, so I think it came out to be very good. Although yes, it's starting to look more like his man cave, but I think it's nice. Good thing I like the Braves. Now my idea on this one is like I wanted like a space that's a little bit more feminine, I guess. And then he painted this. And I thought, all right. But you know what? I like the Braves, so can't really complain. And then when I saw how much work it took for him, I was like, yeah, gotta be grateful. Yeah. I think this room is starting to look really well. He made it so fancy, and it takes a lot of work. So thank you, Chief. Thank you for everything. All right. So things I want to catch up with you guys. So everything's good. Everybody is healthy in the family. I hope you are too. A lot of things going on. The Philippines finished their midterm elections, so we had a lot of, well, I shouldn't say we because I'm not really a Filipino citizen anymore. I can't vote in the Philippines, but they have a group of new senators. I'm probably gonna make a separate video on that, but the same politics in the Philippines is the same thing. The only difference this year is that I've noticed that there wasn't a lot of celebrities because there was a lot of candidates who were celebrities, and they wanted to be senators. Now I've seen celebrities turn politicians in the Philippines that did pretty well, and when I say did pretty well, not winning, but not just getting into office, but actually doing a great job. That's what I meant. Like there are some of them who did a pretty good job, but majority of them really is just my advice to Filipinos, like, don't vote for celebrities. I mean, that's just me. That's my personal opinion. I mean, none of them really, well, very few of them do a good job when they get into office, because I feel like, this is my personal opinion, I feel like a lot of them think like just by being there, they're like, they're doing their share, but that's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to actually serve your constituents. But a lot of them did not win, which I was like, oh, good. That means that Filipinos are paying attention, because people like who? Willie Rebellion ran, which I thought was kind of a joke. He did not win. He went on a big, long rant of how come he did not win. He disliked that. He thought he should have won, but I'm glad he didn't. I think he's good as a host. I don't think he should be a politician. I think there is some change when it comes to how Filipinos vote. There is a lot of, the big population of young voters. I mean, the Philippines itself is a very young population, so there's a lot of Gen Z voting this time. And some of them don't want to vote the traditional way. And when I say traditional way of voting, that means like, selling your vote, because that is still a big problem in the Philippines. A lot of people sell their votes. I mean, vote buying is a big problem in the Philippines. And a lot of times you will find that usually, not all, but a lot of the older generation, they have this mindset that, well, my vote is worth something, meaning exchange for money. And what's sad about this is some are so blatantly like they're corrupt themselves. They think that they're owed this pay because well, the politicians, they are corrupt anyway, so it's not, what's wrong with accepting money for your vote. But they're just gonna do corruption when they get into government, so I should just accept the money because it's not really their money, it's the money of the government. That kind of mindset's like really weird. So you would find that some Filipinos, I'm not saying all, okay, some Filipinos would accept both from both sides. So there's two parties competing, or there's maybe multiple parties competing, and they would just take every single one. But the reality is they can only vote for one person, right? For that position, let's say like a governor, for example, they're gonna accept. I've heard of this many times. I've seen of this actually. I have volunteered um during elections in the Philippines, and so I know how it works. Okay, if you're a watcher, you know this. If you work for some politician, I volunteered to work for a politician for a short period of time, so yeah, I kind of know the game a little bit. Some people would do that. They would accept money from this party and that party, and they're gonna most likely, of course, they can only vote for one person, let's say one mayor, but then they also accepted the other candidate's money. So it's like it's so dirty, it's so messy, but they don't think it's wrong because they think, well, that's the money of the government. We need our share, that kind of mentality. So that is like the traditional way of voting in the Philippines. Vote buying is still very, very much a problem in the country. But looks like there are some changes. You can tell that the younger generation is tired of the old ways. Let's see what happens. Looks like there's good and bad, to be very honest. I mean, political dynasty, I think it's gonna remain in the Philippines. I mean, you have some of the senators that's been there. I mean, actually, there's like a thing. What's the term they use in the Philippines? They're archaic. Like these people are like dinosaurs. They're ancient. They've been in that Senate, in that Congress for so long that's like you've never seen them doing anything else. Like some last names have been there forever. So they just win every single time, and then they might take a break and go back. It's like the same people. There's no change because the same rotten people running the country. So I mean, but it always goes back to the voters have power and they're the one voting for these people. So I mean, what do you expect? You can't expect change when you don't want to change. You're just so used to your old ways. Anyways, let's move back to the US because obviously I'm here. The big beautiful bill that turned into the big beautiful beef between Musk and Trump. I was kind of expecting that. Like when Musk um started endorsing Trump, of course, especially when he started campaigning. I thought that was nice, definitely help, the Trump administration and the campaign and all that stuff. You need money to campaign. But I didn't think that relationship would work. I mean, I think Musk is a very intelligent guy, but there's just something about him that I find to be like, I don't know, not really off. Well, he is kind of off a lot of times, but he's planning on what? Relocating a good number of the population. Whoever he chooses, I guess, to populate Mars. I think that's kind of weird. Not really weird. I don't like that idea. Remember the story of people building this tower to reach heaven, and what happened to that after that? And God was like, you guys getting too close. So yeah, I'm not into the idea of populating, the Mars and other planets of people. First of all, I don't think we're gonna survive there. And second, I think that's going a little too far. Second, the chips on people's brains. I think there was already a success story of one guy where they implanted chips on his brain. I don't know. It reminds me of, like, chips on your forehead and chips on your, your, what is it, the risk to identify you or to buy things. I don't know. What, 666, that type of mark, the mark of the beast. I don't know. I just, some of the exploration, well, most of the things he does is just, it's a little bit concerning to me. At least that's my opinion. I can probably talk about that in a more, where I could explain that a little bit more. But yes, when he started campaigning for Trump, I thought, well, yeah, definitely going to help because obviously this guy is super wealthy, the wealthiest man on earth, right? So put in a lot of money on the campaign. Of course, it helped. And then he started the project with Doge. What is initially he was working with, who is that guy? Vivek Ramaswamy, but that didn't last. How long they worked together? Maybe a month, maybe not even a month, maybe a couple of weeks, and then Vivek left, and I thought, something was off with that. So he started working for Doge. I thought he'd done a lot of good things, exposing a lot of this waste and money going to places that obviously it's waste. I mean, people already dead, getting social security benefits, all of that stuff. Obviously, that's very good. I think he's done a lot of good. I think everything was good until this big beautiful bill. Looks like at first he didn't really say much about it. Looks like he was for it, and then all of a sudden they have this, feud. The turnout actually got physical. Now I saw, what's the name of that secretary, Levitt, talking about it. She said, well, it wasn't really like a physical fight, but then apparently Musk got punched in the face by, what it, Besant, the secretary. I mean, that's obviously a physical fight if someone got punched in the face. When he showed up with a black eye, well, obviously there was some, physical fight there. Um, so Trump, posted something like, I'm disappointed in him. I think he was okay with the bill, but when he realized that he's gonna lose all of that, what is it, the subsidies for the EV cars, he wasn't very happy with that. And you know what? In a sense, it does make sense. Like, if you were Musk and losing all the billions of dollars, with all these people like not liking him because obviously he's supporting Trump and all the stuff he's doing at Doge, people like burning like Tesla and all this stuff. He's lost a lot of money. So it probably started to hurt to where he's like, this is, not good. And when he heard of, Trump and that big beautiful bill where they're going to be removing those, what do you call that, the subsidy for his EV, the cars, he's probably not very happy with that. So he mentioned that he thinks that this bill is not good because the goal is supposed to be like to cut spending, but looks like the bill is actually asking to increase the credit line. Like they're wanting more money, more spending money, so it's not really saving anything. I'm gonna move into another story, which is what's happening in California with ICE, working on deporting illegal immigrants. And apparently ICE was there to target specific people, which is people who have committed crimes and have criminal backgrounds. So that's really the target. But of course, people who are protesting or protested thought they were there for all illegal immigrants. But once you start like destroying properties, public properties, you are in the middle of the road, nobody can drive anymore, you're burning cars, you're like I mean, there's so many videos on this, and it's like, what are they doing? They're like throwing rocks on just random cars. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. That's not protesting anymore. I think that's riots. That's like, these people needs to be arrested and they need to be jailed because that is not right. It doesn't matter what you think, that's not right, okay? Actually, one police officer, LAPD, was talking about this. They said they were overwhelmed, and some people would show up with their backpacks, apparently filled with cinder blocks. What is that? Like a hollow blocks? Like that's what we call it in the Philippines. And then they have hammers, and then they would mash these cinder blocks and distribute it to others so they could like throw it in, in cars, like passing cars. There's a lot of people who not only are burning cars, they are there waving um, foreign flags. I think that's kind of counterproductive, I think, like, at least in my opinion. Like, If your goal is that you're obviously protesting because you're against arresting illegal immigrants, you think they should be able to stay in the US, I think it would actually be somewhat effective if you are raising the American flag. Now, I do think that it's not really American. This is my personal opinion. And I'm not saying every single immigrant who's here illegally thinks that way. I'm sure not everybody. But for those people who are doing that on the streets, burning stuff, burning the American flag, waving the Mexican flag, the Palestinian flag, what other flags they're waving that's not an American flag, I think it's not really America that they love. They probably love the lifestyle that America has to offer, the stuff that are available in America, but deep inside, they do want to take their country into America, which is not going to work because you're going to come here, you're going to destroy, and then once it's destroyed, so now what? You're gonna move on to the next place to destroy? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And then Newsom goes into the news and he doesn't help, because instead of like condemning this, well, he does kind of condemn it, but then he's like, Newsom is like wishy-washy all the time. And some people were also saying that it could be that, this was triggered by Trump sending ICE there. I mean, I don't know. Recent, I mean, a lot of Americans voted for Trump for that because they wanted to fix immigration. And so that is the expectation that people voted for him because he's going to take action. But now that he's taking action, I mean, what do you want him to do? He still has to do the things that he promised. So unfortunately, maybe Californians, that's not what they want. But, the reality is a lot of things going on, like illegal immigration happened. A lot of them are in California and New York, for example. So obviously ICE will focus on those states because majority of them are there. So that's quite a mess. So yeah, that's what's going on. I mean, you've probably seen this on the news. I just wanted to say hello to everyone and just kind of want to talk to you guys. I hope you guys are doing well. Everybody in my family is doing well, We are healthy and thank God for that. And everything's good. It's been rainy in Florida. If you're from Florida, you probably know that. It's rainy, hot. It's like, Florida is so humid now. That's why I decided to cut my hair really short. But if you live close to the beach in the Philippines, I mean, you're probably enjoying your summer. All right, so I'm starting to rumble. I'll see you guys on my next video. I hope you enjoy watching this. Bye-bye.